We're going to be filling out section number 5 in your Unit 11 flip book. Section number 5 is basically a review on some topics that many of you are struggling with. The first topic is about arc length, and the essential question is, how can I find the length of an arc? Now I want you to notice, class, there's a very big difference between arc measure and arc length. Arc measure, that's in degrees. The measure of a circle around a circle is 360 degrees. Arc measure is how many degrees. For instance, look at this example right here. If the central angle is 135 degrees, the measure of arc AB is 135 degrees. Arc length is something different. Arc length is what is the distance from point A around the circumference to point B? What is the length or the distance? And that's not going to be measured in degrees. For this example, it's going to be measured in inches. So let's go over some background to make sure we understand this a little bit better. So for this particular example, class, the circumference of a circle is the measure of the distance around the circle. We find that with the equation circumference equals 2 pi r. So if you want to find the entire circumference of this circle, you're going to multiply 2 times pi times the radius. So let's just say that this radius is right here. We'll label that as r. That will tell you, class, 2 pi r will tell you the distance or the length around the whole circle. Now arc length is just a piece of this circumference. Think about it as cutting a piece out of the circle and then measuring that and saying, oh, that is the length of that particular piece or that particular arc of the circle. Okay, so here's our rule. If the measure of angle ADB, let's make a measure here. And I'm going to go ahead and label this A and measure and label this D and label this B. If the measure of angle ADB is x degrees, then we know the measure of arc AB is also x degrees. We know this because that's a central angle. So we can find the arc length, the length of AB, with the formula. The length of arc AB is the whole circumference. So I'm going to put here, let's put this in a different color so you see it. It's the whole circumference which, by the way, is found with 2 pi r. So you find the circumference and then you multiply it by this fraction, which is how much of the circumference do we want? Well, in this example, we want x degrees out of a total of 360 degrees. That's the fraction that we want. So this is the formula you're going to use, and normally you're going to find the circumference first, and then you're going to multiply it times the fraction of the circumference that you want. So let's go ahead and see this in an example. Question in the upper right hand corner. What is the arc length of arc AB? What's the arc length? Well, the first thing we do, class, if we want to know what's the distance or the length of this arc, we have to know the length of the whole circumference first. So first thing you do is find total, now I'm going to abbreviate this, find total circumference. I'll make it CUM here so you know I'm not saying circle. Find the total circumference. All right. We know circumference is found with, let's change that color so you can see it a little better. We know circumference is found with 2 pi r. So we know that we've got 2 times pi. This radius is 17 inches. We can multiply the 17 and the 2. That's 34. 34 pi. And of course the circumference is measured in inches in this example. Alright, so now we know the whole circumference. Now we're going to find what part of the circumference we want to cut out, which is arc AB. And now we use our formula. the total circumference, if you look over here, the total circumference times the part of the circumference we want. Well, we want 135 degrees out of a total of the whole circle, which is 360 degrees. Let's put that in our calculator. So we're going to go ahead and put in 34 pi times parentheses 135 out of or divided by 360, and we press equal. We've got 40.05. We can round that to 40.1. Approximately 40.1 inches. There is the length of arc AB, the distance from point A around the circle to point B. Let's look at that in a word problem. A windshield wiper is 62 centimeters long. I'm going to label that. This windshield wiper right here is 62 centimeters long. One sweep of the windshield wiper covers an angle of 113 degrees. It's already labeled. Calculate the distance the end of the wiper travels in one sweep. Well, here's our distance right here. How far does the end of the wiper travel? Can you see, class, that this is actually just a circle, and this is the center of the circle. This is a central angle. So if we want to know how far it is from this point to this point, here's what we do. Step 1, find the circumference of the whole circle first. The circumference is 2 pi r, which is 2 pi times 62, which that's our radius. 62 times 2 is 124 pi, and this is measured in centimeters. So that, if this windshield wiper could go all the way around the circle, it would travel, the end of the windshield wiper would travel 124 times pi centimeters, which is about 124 times 3.14. You could figure that out. But we don't want the whole circle. We want to know how far it travels in only 113 degrees. So the next step is to take our entire circumference and multiply it times the fraction that we want. We want 113 degrees of movement over a total circle, which is 360 degrees. Let's put that in our calculator. We got 124 times pi, hang on one second, let me make this a little bit longer, times pi, times parenthesis 113 divided by 360, close parenthesis. And our answer is 122.27 or 122.3. 122.3 centimeters. That is how far the end of that windshield wiper will travel if it moves in a central angle of 113 degrees. Alright, now we're not going to have enough time to actually get to the bottom of this section, so we'll do that in the next video.